Hi, welcome into the DNZ Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Zach. I'm joined today, always, with my fellow LOC league mates Drake and Nick, here to bring you the latest news and knowledge in the world of fantasy football. This week, we're going to kind of go and fly through some things, a bunch of different random things. We're going to talk about possible draft picks in the rookie draft. We're going to talk about some red alerts, maybe some guys you want to boot off your team, try and get as much value as you can while you can. Really just kind of rant off a bunch of different things as we kind of go along. As I mentioned, our first thing of business is going through our potential draft picks. Drake, why don't you kind of give us a rundown on that?
Yeah, so we're just going to kind of shoot the shit as we go, and we had a really good pre-pod talk, and we just wanted to hit the record button. I mean, we were kind of going through our own rookie mock drafts for League of Comp and seeing how stuff might shake out, what player is going to be available, how our league might draft as well, and kind of plan to adjust. And there's still a lot that can change as it's still just mini camp going on. But it was kind of a fun conversation. So, Zach, we can just start with your potential draft. It's really interesting for you. I mean, you've got 2 first-round picks, and then you have 2 early second-round picks.
I have 2 late first round picks and 1 early second.
One
round.
early second.
Yeah.
So there's 3 picks right there at the back end, 12, 13, 14, like top 15 guys you're going to snag. So you kind of need to address a couple positions, just like everybody does. But, I mean, quarterback, I think, comes to the top of the list. And then also running back. So, I mean, with your first pick, I mean, guys like Kenny Pickett could be there, should be there. Chris Olave could be there. Sky Moore, that's the outlier that we need to like kind of plan for, all of us being Kansas City Chiefs fans for the most part.
Right.
Maybe he goes way earlier than you would think, which is certainly possible. And I wouldn't put it past anybody. I mean, I would love to have Sky Moore. If I pick at the 108, if Sky Moore falls to me, I would love to have Sky Moore. But I mean, what are you kind of thinking with this first pick? Maybe Kenny Pickett, Olave, or Sky Moore?
So, as you mentioned, I do need to address my quarterback position. Right now, I have my QB1 on solid lock. I have Justin Herbert. So my QB1 is on lock. It's my second quarterback in the Superflex league. That's a little bit more dicey. I have Drew Lock right now on my bench. I have Daniel Jones in there at the Superflex position starting right now. So quarterback is a position that I might want to address. And yeah, like you said, Kenny Pickett probably having that starting role there in Pittsburgh might be the most enticing pick. My thought process, however, is, as Nick has so kindly pointed out in previous pods, next year's quarterback class is a lot deeper and a lot more productive. I think maybe
I was the only one right about that.
I think maybe taking a punt on this year's quarterbacks, because it's not like I'm going to take a Malik Willis, who might be the QB of the future for Tennessee in the first round, or Desmond Ridder for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not going to take either one of those guys in the first round. Maybe I take him with the 202 pick, but when I look at the value and I analyze this year's draft, I'm thinking, in mock drafts of previous, I've been able to snag a Chris Olave at the 106, or I have the 107, excuse me. Kenny Pickett's kind of gone at the 106. I could maybe snag him at the 107 depending on human error. I do have the 109 pick. So just kind of looking at things and analyzing, maybe I try and double dip. Maybe with my 107, I take someone like Sky Moore or Chris Olave, whoever's still there available. And then in 2 picks, I hope and pray, because I do need a little bit of help there in the running back position as well. James Cook has really kind of showed out in a lot of his mini camps, OTAs, things like that. He might be RB1 there in Buffalo, so maybe he's someone that I want to take a flyer on, as opposed to trying to get a quarterback who, I mean, you've seen how first-year quarterbacks really develop here in the league. It's not the greatest. So maybe I try and get someone like a James Cook, and then my 202 position, I can take someone like Christian Watson. Maybe I want to go and get George Pickens. I can get Jahan Dotson, David Bell. There's a bunch of guys there at the 202. I can get a possible wide receiver 2 there. I have Sky Moore, who may or may not really produce year 1, but then I have for 3 more years after that once Juju leaves, once Josh Gordon leaves, once MBS leaves, if you're correct there. If
You're
those
going to
guys,
have 3 solid options there
exactly,
at the 202.
Exactly. So
if not more than that.
Right. So
a wide receiver.
I feel like I have more potential and more value in getting someone like that, and maybe next year taking a risk. If I bomb this season for whatever reason, I'm able to get someone next season who would be good. Someone like scary guy from OU that transferred out. Fuck. The
Megatron?
albino.
Oh. Spencer Rattler.
Who?
Rattler, yeah.
The Rattler
the
snake.
albino. Yeah, watch out for him next year. He's still going to be the top QB prospect coming out of this draft.
Whoa.
Next year. No, he absolutely will. He absolutely will.
Do you remember what team he went to?
Yeah, South Carolina. He's teaming up with his boy, tight end.
His tight end followed him, too. They transferred at the same time.
Fucking bullshit. Stogman.
Mizzou's going to get a play him, so I'm going to see that shit firsthand.
So
let me tell you what.
Yeah, I just feel like I have a lot more value. I feel like or a lot more potential with guys.
Right. So definitely with your second pick there at the 109, I mean, you could take a stab at Kenny Pickett if you wanted to, but with the fact that you have the 202, like you said, you're going to have one of those receivers there. You might as well just pick James Cook. I mean, I think that's the sweet spot for him. I mean,
I think he's going to sneak it in the first round. I'd rather get him.
I agree.
I'd rather get him 1-9 than hope that he's there 2-2. Because I still think, like, what's the difference between 1-9 and 202?
Right.
I'd still be able to snag someone like George Pickens or Christian Watson at 202. I firmly believe that. And if not, if all else fails, maybe someone there after me or in between my picks takes Kenny Pickett and Christian Watson and George Pickens. All of those guys fly off before 202. You know what? Maybe I take a stab at Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder or someone like that where they sit on a taxi squad or on my bench for a year, and then next year they become the quarterback for a team that has
and there's a lot of value in those quarterbacks. That's why I'm almost hesitant, like, for you to take Kenny, like you should take Kenny Pickett, because if he does well, I mean, he's not going to lose a whole lot of value. In Superflex, quarterbacks hold all the value. So maybe you could even trade him down the road and get another 2023 first if he plays really well during the season.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like you said with James Cook, I mean, I think James Cook's he's going to have a role this season. And I think he could have a bigger role in 2023. So being a quarterback in Superflex, I think his value could rise and you could do very well. But I think James Cook is in the same boat. So picking between the two is difficult. But if you think you can rock out, and it's just Superflex, like you don't have to play a quarterback in that position. You've got plenty of other players you could plug in there. Your roster is solid. So you need running backs. Take James Cook and just, like you said, punt quarterback position in 2022 and aim for a quarterback in 2023.
I think you answered your own question there. You came in talking Kenny Pickett and then gave 10 million reasons why you go any of those dudes that we just talked about. Kenny Pickett no one's expecting him to become even with the same hype that a Josh Allen came in at, or a Mahomes, or even a Tua. Like, when you get drafted there, you're expected to come in and probably be something special, hopefully, maybe if it's not even year one. But Kenny Pickett wasn't really drafted in that position. A lot of teams were probably saying, wow, really? You took him? And what is that roster going to be later on? So I think you gave a million reasons. There's a lot of good players on the board in that draft range that you're talking about.
The skilled positions are so deep this year. The skilled positions are so deep, and that's really where I kind of struggled last year is, like you said, my roster, my roster is solid. My starting roster is solid. It's very top-heavy because I have Javonte, Justin, Jalen, Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith. Those are all pretty solid young guys.
Great cornerstone assets. You just got to build around it.
But then when you look at my bench, who do I have to follow up on that? Marlon Mack, Rashad Penny, Darrell Williams, Ramondre, Sammy Watkins, Jarvis Landry, Van Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Mike Gesicki.
I like Ramondre and Gesicki, but the rest of those, hard to get excited about.
I don't mind Darrell Williams because when he was in, at the end of last season, he finished higher rating than what CEH did. So, he has pretty decent value as a wide receiver, running back too. for me, especially if James Conner does get hurt. He doesn't produce the same way he did last year. I think he has some pretty decent value as well. My whole thing is I want to try and get more depth and good depth within my team, and I think I can do that by adding another 2 wide receivers and a running back.
So we're we're essentially assuming nobody picks Sky Moore before the 107.
Seven, yeah.
So I'm at the 108. So we're just going to chalk you up for Sky Moore with your first pick, and then you're going James Cook with the 109, and then you've got the pick of the litter. Depending on who's there, it's most likely going to be Pickens or Dotson. I mean, I think Christian Watson is probably going to go before those two guys, but I wouldn't put that.
Well, yeah. Oh, you're saying Watson and Dotson might go before 202?
Watson, yeah, you're going to have one of those guys available. I think Watson is the least likely candidate. But I mean, between Pickens and Dotson, what do you think? I need to pull up this mock ADP I got.
I like
Pickens.
Pickens there.
Pickens.
I like Pickens there, but
he's a more skilled athlete.
Pickens over Dotson. I think that's the right choice.
He's a more solid athlete. He's going to a better situation with potentially a better not a better quarterback, but just a better overall situation. I don't like the Commanders at all. I think that's just a dumpster fire. So I would probably go Pickens.
I like Pickens because I like high risk. That's just how I roll. And this dude is either going to be total boom or his ego is just going to take him right out. And ego has taken so many dudes out that we've never even heard of before because they got taken out so early. So if this dude has all these off-field issues and maybe they don't get resolved, he'll burn out real quick.
I think he'll be just fine. And I think Pickens is going to run. Pickens is going to run Claypool out of the building.
Who most recently has had a bunch of off-the-field issues that somehow seem contained while playing under the Steelers?
I've already made this point a million times over, which is why
AB.
It's still a high risk. I mean, if you go to the Steelers now and say you want Antonio Brown, I mean, we'll dial back his age a little bit, but if you same drama, AB, prime of his career, his public drama, that is, do you come out and say, do you want AB right now? No one will take him. No one will take AB right now.
Do you think AB had all of those same off-the-field antics that were just contained by Mike Tomlin, or do you think they developed after he left?
There could have been a much better locker room environment there where he could be a little bit more open and honest with the coaching staff, where it didn't quite translate as well somewhere else. So I think a little bit of both. I mean, I think it was a better environment for him and that personality. As soon as he goes somewhere else, his needs get higher. He gets paid. He gets big ego.
To sit his ass down and say, "You see Antonio Brown."
Well, AB was like the best wide receiver in
that's the choice
like fantasy football. The dude was insane. Like, so he had a huge ego, and I don't know what happened to AB, but currently not rostered. So that's all you need to know.
Did he come in having that huge ego? Because he went to a small school. He went to what, Western Michigan?
There's got to be some ego there.
Something like that. Well, I don't think so. He came from a small school, and then he developed into a perennial
I
big guy. Like,
but I don't think the issue just started as soon as he left. That's all I wanted to say.
I think it was kind of developing, and then it hit like a blow point, like an exploding point, and then once he did leave, it just one thing after another. Because I mean, you didn't see any of that shit while he was there. He goes to the Raiders and immediately is like, I hate it here, I want to go somewhere else. And then and
he did well last season when he played.
Yeah,
I loved it.
He's done.
Ran off
I had him. I was in the fantasy football playoffs. I think it was my championship matchup. I had Antonio Brown, and homeboy walks off the fucking field or some shit. It might have been in the playoffs, but homeboy walks off the field with 0 points. I was so pissed.
I'm gonna jump it all the way back to our original point.
Pickens will be just fine.
I want Tomlin to sit Pickens down and say, have you ever heard of Antonio Brown? That's the choice that you get to make right now. And then when it comes to Jahan Dotson, that's just the safe. He is going to be there.
Yeah, he's going to be a fine wide receiver. He'll be there maybe with Scary Terry. So be a decent wide receiver 2 there, maybe. But
All right, I've got you locked in on Pickens then. And one
Yeah.
other point I want to make, I mean, that wide receiver room's got some guys. I mean, they've got Claypool and Deontay, and
They're tight end.
I mean, I don't think one of those guys could be gone by next season. Whether or not they want to sign Deontay or whether or not they want to sign Claypool. I mean, if you ask me here today, and I think I thought the same thing as soon as the draft happened. I think Claypool's gonzo. I mean, I think Pickens is just going to take that right over. So I'm not worried about those two weapons already in that offense and Pickens not seeing targets, at least for the foreseeable future. So I like Pickens there. So we got Pickens locked in there. So you got 3 picks already in the 2022 rookie draft, mock draft here. So your third round pick, what is it? The 309. So guys that are going to kind of be on the board, I'm just going to list them off. They could be there, they could not be. Tyrion Davis-Price, John Mechie, Jalen Tolbert, Wan'Dale Robinson, Zach Powell, and it's possible Zamir White's there. I think I'm right before you, so I think I could pick Zamir White there as well. And I think it's possible Sam Howell doesn't fall all the way there, but I mean Tyrion Davis-Price, Mechie, Tolbert, Wan'Dale.
Sam Howell's.
Who are you thinking? What would you do with your third round?
Tyquan Thornton.
Tyquan Thornton. That's a bold move.
You heard it here first. Tyquan Thornton.
All right, lock it in. I'm locking it in.
No, if I'm being realistic, honestly, I could see myself trying to package my third round pick with a player and trying to jump back into the second round.
Interesting.
If I was really
any takers,
that's why we should have we should almost have like a
out there on Zach's trade proposal.
We should do something like the week
10-minute clock.
Well, no, we should do something like the week before where we all get together and we're like, all right.
Well, but you're never going to know till somebody starts falling. And
yeah.
Like if everybody's reaching on Sky Moore, somebody reaches on James Cook just because they're a running back. And then all of a sudden Olave, Jameson Williams are there in the back end of the first round. Like you could just trade Derek Carr for a first round pick and get right into the first round. Like if you had time to do it, like you just seeing how the board goes gives you more of an opportunity than
I do like that
else.
idea.
Like we only have 3 picks. It's only gonna be 3 rounds, and some of the picks are gonna fly by. So even if you put like a 10-minute clock on there,
you can sit for 5 minutes knowing who you're gonna take. Wait to entertain offers and be like, oh, well, this might better address my situation than what this player would do. I think
that's a fun idea.
Yeah, I like it. I would go for it for sure.
So do I need to lock in Thornton here for you?
No, I honestly just say best available. So, I mean...
Mechie, Tolbert, Wan'Dale.
I'll probably do Mechie.
Mechie, locking it in. Okay, Nick, you ready to talk about your draft? You're going to have the 103.
Yeah, I am. And
so...
there's not even much to talk about here. With that pick, if it's on the board... It's going to be Drake London.
104.
Yeah, 1-4.
I think Drake London could go with the... What if Drake London's not there? Who else? Because I think Drake London could go with the second or third pick. He could easily go before your pick.
That would tell me that I'm then picking between a Garrett Wilson, J-Mo, or a K-Walk.
Treylon Burks.
And at that point...
Treylon Burks, too.
Treylon Burks could go.
I'm lower there than you guys.
Oh, my God.
What do you mean? We've done a mock draft all the time. You're like, I'll take Treylon. You took Treylon Burks in the startup that we did last in podcast.
I would go K-Walk. Did I?
Yes.
We'll have to pull that up.
What if K-Walk...
might have been forced.
I think K-Walk could go before your pick as well. I'm
in love with
Who has the third pick? Do they need a running back or do they need... Graham has the third pick.
I shouldn't even be talking about this live on the
Graham's going to go wide receiver. I think Kenneth Walker. You should.
Well, Graham.
I think
Graham knows what's coming to him.
Graham's going to pick Treylon Burks. Him and Pablo are close. Pablo's going to be like, bro, pick Treylon Burks. I think you're going to have Kenneth Walker.
Graham knows I'm the Graham Slayer.
Or Garrett Wilson. So you're picking Kenneth Walker.
Graham don't lose to anyone in fantasy but me.
Am I locking that in? Am I locking that in for you?
Graham? Just lock me in at Drake London since we do.
No, Drake London, there's no way. I think he's going before your pick, dude. He's going at the 102, 103. He's gone.
You have to lock me at London, and if it's not going to be London...
It's not going to be London.
I'm going to go...
Kenneth Walker.
K-Walk. Yeah,
I've got you locked in with K-Walk.
I really love K-Walk.
We're going to try and be as accurate.
Put an asterisk by that lock, because Drake London is mine.
He's not going to make it to the 104. I'm just telling. I have the 102 in our other dynasty league, and I'm taking Drake London or Treylon Burks, and the person after me is taking whoever I don't fucking pick. So I promise you, it's going to be the same thing.
Who is picking there? Are you
At the 103? It's after me.
Actually, let's talk about this off the
In
air.
Sigap
I don't want to
Dynasty?
give anyone any ideas that I haven't already given them.
No, who cares?
So we're gonna go a unofficial lock of K-Walk with a
Locking it in.
heart, fingers crossed, unholy things.
I mean,
be
I think
done
he
if
could
I
do.
can take Drake London.
I think
there.
Kenneth Walker could do big things. He's going to be coming into a
Not
on
if Rashad
offense,
Penny's healthy.
right? And I think that's highly unlikely because he's never been healthy except for the last season, essentially. I think.
Yeah,
And Chris Carson was healthy a little bit, but
he always comes in whenever he happens to be healthy, and he does do work. But
Rashad White's going to
unsustainability
be.
there.
He doesn't have quite the receiving capability you would want in a PPR format, but I mean, I think his ceiling is Nick Chubb, which is not too shabby. So we locked in Kenneth Walker for Nick at the 104. So at
Drake London.
your next pick, so what we got on deck here for you next is the 207.
207.
So you're looking at like a Tyler Algier, a Trey McBride. Maybe you want to snag a Malik Willis all the way if he's there. I mean, it's super flex. Like it's decent values for snagging Malik Willis. I think.
What I'm looking at is based on if I get the wide receiver I want or the running back I want in the first round, I'm going to be looking at the wide receiver I want right here or the running back I want right here, which is a Dameon Pierce. Is that running back, or a David Bell?
I don't think
is that
Dameon
wide
Pierce or
receiver?
David Bell will fall that far.
No.
You got to pick between my options. So you're realistic as of today.
My options, according to FantasyAlarm.com.
But we're going to be
highly
drafting. You got to.
They're not paying us. They're not
There's
paying us.
sleeper
Highly
ADP that people will be dependent on. This is the most accurate shit you could come up with right now because that's the format all these people are going to be drafted
We
on.
know Jared, Team Galactic Empire, is going to see ADP, who should he draft, and he's going to draft him right away.
He's going to pick the top guy. It doesn't matter.
He's like, this guy's going to be the best player available.
So
Well,
did you?
I'll be able to get a Dameon Pierce or a David
Not
Bell
with the
there.
207.
Or
No.
David Bell.
Get that out of your head. There's no chance. Zero chance. Like I'm telling you right now. There's no way. The mock draft I did. Well, I think David Bell, you're correct on that. But the Dameon Pierce is going at the 204.
If I'm
in
not
this
allowed,
mock draft.
if I'm not allowed to make
David
my
Bell.
picks.
Okay,
I guess
David
I have a
Bell.
very wishful list of players I came into here. Then
David
But
Bell. Okay, I'll give you
if-
that.
if
You want
it
to go
has
David
be-
Bell?
Well, then I'd be looking at David Bell or Alec Pierce because I have similar vibes about
Okay.
both of them.
But not Tyler Algier, Trey McBride, Malik Willis. No interest in those guys.
I would
Not
rather
yet.
I would rather
Not
you
yet.
go Tyler Algier.
You kind of
Well,
need a
this is-
you kind of
this
need a
is-
tight end. Your tight end is Tyler Higbee, and you have no other tight end on your roster.
I plan on addressing. that
You have
next
Robert
round. I plan
Tonyan.
on addressing
Robert
that
Tonyan could have a
next
bounce
round.
back year,
I'm-
and Zach Ertz is still there. So I mean, Zach Ertz. I mean, he could still play for a few more years.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and go with Alec Pierce. This is
All right,
all
lock it
totally
in.
done on the fly. I had a list of players that has gone out the window. I guess.
But
it was
okay,
two-
hold on. Before we lock this in for you, can I say
You
something?
want to hear why? Because
Hold on,
the
no.
Browns are gonna Browns. We got Deshaun Watson going on. Baker Mayfield is not going to play for the Browns.
Hold
if
on,
Deshaun
I'm going to make a
Watson
good.
can't.
I'm going to make a good
And then
point
the
here
Browns
for
are
you.
gonna Browns.
So you're going to have the.
Like the Browns.
You're going to have an
always do.
early third round pick. It's possible Alec Pierce falls that far. In this mock draft, he goes at the 303. Like so, if you take Alec Pierce now, okay, you lock it in. But it's certainly possible you could get him in the third round at your next pick. So
But
you could
there's-
take that chance and snag a guy. I don't know. I'm just like these
I
are
really
possible
am.
options.
Yeah, and I like that, but I'm always super big just on players. I just fall in love. I'll see a random news article, a random highlight.
But if you can get him the next round, and you're going to get somebody equally valuable.
I've had a good record drafted mofos, and it's all for me. It's always about the player.
Did you hear that,
The
Zach? He's
player.
known for drafting well. Do we need to talk about his other dynasty league? I think we should one on podcast.
And we've talked about that Dynasty League. I'm not hiding anything in that
Okay,
Dynasty League.
I'm locking in Alec
But
Pierce for
what
you.
about
You're
my
locked in.
Championship winning War Boys over in Flea Flicker.
You know what? I want to change.
That's
I want to change
led
my
the damn league
107
scoring
pick.
4 years in a row. But
You're not
we're
gonna take
champs.
Sky Moore?
We're
No,
champs.
no,
There's a banger
no.
hanging.
What are you going to do?
I am going to take
Y'all
Brees
don't
Hall
wanna talk about the War
107.
Boys.
He's going to
Dude,
be
he's gonna
available
fall.
at the 107. That is what you are saying right now.
Biggest win streak maybe in the entire
Well, Alec
country.
Pierce could certainly be there, but that's what he's been saying.
Didn't
He's
lose a
trying-
game since
Oh, I'm
week
going to take
5.
Drake London at the 104.
What are you talking
He's
about?
not going to be there at the 104.
What are you talking about, Vanna?
My championship winning War Boys.
Oh, we don't need to talk about Flea Flicker. That doesn't matter. All right, I
It's a
locked
keeper
in.
league. It's a completely different dynamic.
I locked in Alec Pierce for you. We got to move on to your next pick here. So
that's where I'm going to address tight end, and
Jelani
I
Woods,
can't
do
say-
it.
Can't
Do
say
it.
that I've decided between.
Trey McBride.
I would love that. I would
Trey
love it if you
McBride's
said
gonna be
Jelani
available.
Woods. No, it's possible, but unlikely.
I mean,
I honestly
it
think
would
Trey
either
McBride's going to
be-
go in the second round.
It would be McBride.
He's probably not.
He's
we're betting
not going to be
he's
there.
not going to be there.
Y'all,
He's not going to be there.
We're trying to be as realistic as possible here. I think Jelani Woods,
y'all
dude,
motherfuckers
Jelani
keep
Woods. If
bringing
you want
the
a tight
heat.
end,
Keep bringing the heat because
I'm giving you
those
Jelani
quarterbacks,
Woods.
4 of them in the first round, right?
Your tight
keep
end is
bringing
Tyler
the
Higbee and Tanyan.
Yeah, I'm going to be picking between McBride or Dulcich. Is who I'm taking there for tight end.
Drake almost threw up.
All right, so we're gonna lock in Dolchis.
They were throwing up when I said these quarterbacks.
I don't think they're too different.
Ass.
This is true. He nailed it. Give him that.
And there
So-
will be more. Debo Samuel.
So you're
I got
three-
my takes.
You're 304.
Trust
you're
my takes,
you're locking
people.
in Dolchis.
I know you people feel with
Nick.
vibe.
Nick,
It's energy.
you're 304. Are you locking in Dolchis? The tight end for the Broncos.
Y'all keep saying I can't take the players I want to take. I'm shook.
Dude, that's a very possible pick. Like, is that what you're locking in?
Well, I think I could.
I
take
would rather have
McBride
Jelani
there.
Woods.
I think I could take McBride there. Y'all motherfuckers, y'all motherfuckers think that everyone else in our league is going through fantasy player lists like
They're listening to our
It
pod.
doesn't matter.
They're listening to
This
our pod.
is-
They
it's
know our
June,
takes.
It's June 13th.
Do they
So
care
much shit
about
is
our
going to
takes?
change.
Listen,
And we're never going to be able to predict it, but we can try and be as close as we would like. Like, you're making up hypotheticals that don't make sense
You
at
know
the
what?
moment.
Fuck it. We're at the point. Let's just do a fucking mock draft. Prove Nick wrong.
Well, I want to
don't
talk
think
about
I'm
my draft
gonna
picks.
do it. I have yet
Let's-
to be proven wrong.
I'm locking in
on the
Jelani
record,
Woods. I'm gonna do
for
you a
all our
favor.
listeners have not once been
So
proven
when we
wrong.
look back on this and these notes, you're going to look
Never
like
have
a
in my
goddamn
life, actually.
genius with that Jelani Woods pick. Okay, so wait, I need to.
I mean, it depends what. List
Before
you're
I
looking
start
at.
talking about
This
my
fantasy
108.
alarm list is the ranks I'm going up, and all the players are available. That's
there you
the
go.
It's the only thing that I'm. Based
Focus
off.
up.
That looks like any Tinder match that ever wants to have anything to do with me.
Why did you bring that up? All right,
Oh,
so
I don't know.
I want to talk about my draft picks here, possible draft picks. We got to talk about yours. So
Y'all be talking about Kenny
Nick-
Pickett in the first round like y'all at
yes,
cow
this
disease.
is fantasy
Come on.
football super flex.
Come on,
This is not a one quarterback
He's
league.
going to go in the first round.
y'all motherfuckers.
He's going to go in the first
Kenny
round.
Pickett in our first
Jeez,
round.
this is a
I'll throw
fantasy
$50
football.
on that right now. Anyone?
This is not real life football.
This is being recorded after July 1st.
This is a shit show. All right, I need a clarification from you, Zach.
$50. Kenny Pickett goes
Fuck
in
it.
the 1st round.
I'll draft Kenny Pickett for $50.
That's more than the damn payout.
So you're saying you're not going to
Wait,
take
no,
Sky
it's
Moore
not.
at the 107 anymore?
No, I was just saying for $50, I'll take
Oh, you're going to take Brees Hall. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Brees Hall.
All right, so
107.
I'm at the 108 and Sky Moore's off the board. So I think that's going to leave me Olave, and Pickett will still be there. So I've got him as an option, but I don't need a quarterback. So I'm going to essentially lock in Olave for my 108 pick. And maybe J-Mo falls that far. I doubt it, but I think it's possible. But I'm going to lock in Olave. And then I do have an early round second pick. It's a 203. So Zach did end up going with James Cook and Pickens. So that kind of leaves me with Jahan Dotson most likely. And a guy that I really consider here at the same time as well. Like, I need a running back 3. So I don't think it's really a reach. It's just what the best value you want to go for. So I'm going to have Jahan Dotson available, I believe, in this scenario. But Rashad White could be there as well, and I love Rashad White. He was one of my sleepers before the NFL draft, and he's in a great situation. I know Tom Brady's not going to be there very long, and Leonard Fournette's not going to be there very long either. So I think he's going to have a third down role pretty quick. So at this point, I could go Dotson or Rashad. I think that's a really good spot to be in.
I like Rashad there.
I know. I think
there's some long-term shit
I'm
there.
just going to go. I gotta stay on brand and lock in Rashad White.
Okay.
So Olave, then Rashad White,
and Rojo,
and then my 308. My 308 is going to kind of leave me. I think I've got two options that are certainly possible: Zamir White or Jalen Tolbert. So since I went with a running back with my second round pick, instead of trying to take a shot on Zamir White, who could be the lead back in 2023, which is interesting, but Jalen Tolbert, I think he's made a lot of noise in minicamp, and Gallup's not going to be fully healthy to start the season. James Washington was in a walking boot recently, and I mean they've got CeeDee Lamb, but that's a pass-happy offense, and Jalen Tolbert, he could be relevant in year one. So, but since I took Rashad in the second round, I'm going to go Jalen Tolbert with my 308. That rounds out my rookie draft.
That could easily work out, because who was the breakout wideout for the Cowboys last year? I mean, they always got something.
Cedric Wilson kind of broke out with those injuries going on.
Yeah. So they are going to be slinging the ball. Jerry Jones cares more about putting on a show than winning anything. So
all right, so that concludes my draft. Any thoughts? I got Olave locked in with Sky Moore going before me, then Rashad White over Dotson, and then I picked Jalen Tolbert with my 308 pick.
I would think.
And there's guys like Mechie. Mechie's on the board still. Wan'Dale Robinson's still on the board there for my 308. So at this point, like, it's a little surprising that I pick a Tolbert over a guy like Wan'Dale. Like, I really like Wan'Dale. I think that's just a crowded running back or wide receiver room in New York. Whether they're good or not, it's crowded. And I don't necessarily believe in Daniel Jones, but I was watching highlights of Wan'Dale the other day when he was at Nebraska. The Nebraska starting running back got hurt, and Wan'Dale was the running back. Mm-hmm. So there's just so many ways you could use him in an offense. So Wan'Dale's still really interesting.
My only question is, you were talking about the two whites, Rashad and Zamir. Rashad's obviously in Tampa Bay. He's behind Leonard Fournette. Why do you think do you think his film is just that much more productive, and do you think he has a better chance at being like a long-term guy for them after Leonard Fournette as opposed to Zamir White?
I like both of them. For Zamir White, I always liked him more than James Cook in the pre-draft process. He's torn both of his ACLs, and he did split time, so he didn't have a whole lot of production, but I mean, he split time, so it's hard to knock him too much for that. But Rashad White has, like, compared to Zamir White, Rashad White has so much more receiving capabilities. Like, that's what he's known for. He was the best receiving back in the draft. I mean, maybe he was James Cook, but I like Rashad White better than James Cook, honestly. I'd rather wait and pick James Cook or Rashad White after James Cook instead of taking that shot on James Cook.
Do you know who else was the best receiving back in their class that hasn't panned out?
Clyde.
Yeah,
what a terrible scenario. Dude, I wanted them to pick Swift. I wanted a running back. I wasn't mad about Clyde.
Yeah, I wasn't mad about Clyde.
I'm a little frustrated, but
I just don't think they've used him very well.
He could have a good season this year, and we'll change our tune.
If he can just stay healthy, that's the biggest thing. But
I definitely, like, they could both, like you're saying, Rashad and Zamir, they could both take over the backfield in 2023 possibly. But, I mean, they're still both third-round guys, I think. I forget where Zamir got drafted, but you see it all the time. Michael Carter was drafted in the third round. They just drafted Breece Hall. Like, guys like James Robinson was undrafted in similar boat, kind of. Just they drafted Etienne after he started the full season and played well. So, like, even if you don't have that draft capital, like Rashad White and Zamir White, there's no reason for the team to not draft another receiver in the next few years, or running back in the next few years. So that's one thing. But, I mean, that's where these are the guys you're picking in the back of the second round, especially with this running back class. I mean, it's top heavy. I think Breece Hall is amazing. Kenneth Walker is going to be solid. But after that, I mean, I think it's a total crapshoot.
Well, there's a big second group before it falls off. Kind of the same thing with the receivers too. It's like, your first round guys are all electric, and then your second round, and even some of your third round guys, they're all. You just don't know. Like, they're an injury away from maybe making an impact. They're one show out at camp from winning a starting position. There's just a lot of, like, there's a big middle ground there.
Yeah, maybe I should pick Zamir White, lock Zamir White in instead of Jalen Tolbert. Might as well. I need running backs. I got plenty of wide receivers, and I think Zamir White, he's fast. I think he ran like a 4.4. It's nothing crazy, but he's got home run speed. So you like that upside. So I'm gonna change that. Zamir White. Yeah. I like it.
I'm just looking at our draft order, and I see Blair sitting there at number 2. Blair's our most devout fan. He's our most vocal fan. We need to get Blair on the pod.
What do you think he's going to do with that 102? He's going to go wide receiver?
Yeah, I think because of this episode, he's going to take Drake London just because.
If he's done any mock draft, I mean...
Blair, if you're listening to this episode, I want you to leave a comment. Just because I want to know if you're actually listening.
Hey, Blair, I don't know if they have Wi-Fi in Portland anymore, but you need to get your ass back here and hop on the next episode.
Well, that kind of wraps it up for our 2022 rookie mock draft, possible scenarios for us when our rookie draft comes about in August.
And that'll pretty much conclude this episode of the DNZ Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure you give us a like, share, and subscribe on your YouTube account. Also give us a follow on our Twitter at DNZ Fantasy Football. We would really appreciate that. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them down in the comments. Hit us up on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on the DNZ Fantasy Football Podcast.